Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I wanted to do a day 3 update for the Trapper. If you want to follow along with my build progress, I've left a link to my profile below, and the character name is DumboLetsGo. And if you want to see the end game goal or approximation of that, you can check out DumboSanct from last league. First up, I wanted to point out that Azazel in the comments mentioned that traps cannot be damaged is a really important node, and he's exactly right. I didn't change this in the PoB yet, but it will be updated by the time this video drops. The reason for that is when your trap is arming, it's on the ground for 0.5 seconds and it's immortal. It cannot take damage. Anytime after that, it's vulnerable to damage and only has 1 hit point. So things like a ground degen or an AoE or any variety of other things can hit your trap and kill it, reducing your overall DPS. Now, the poorer a roll Sunblast you have, the longer your trap is vulnerable. So that's another reason to get a better Sunblast if you can. But yeah, this is definitely worth doing. I would switch out of this or into this if you can. I know it doesn't seem like a DPS boost, but it definitely is in many situations. The second is several people have asked about One Step Ahead. I put it on and I've been trying it out for the last several levels, and it feels pretty nice. One thing to know, I felt very tanky, and so I felt comfortable speccing out of Heartstopper. I died one time, I think, between 85 and 89. I just hit 89. And that was because I was sort of messing around with a 5 essence monster in a pretty rippy map. Yeah, this is pretty nice. It makes you faster, makes your traps throw faster, and it reduces other action speed for monsters, which is another way of providing defense. But once you switch to self-chill, you're going to want to get rid of it unless you're happy with the reduction of monsters' action speed. And that is because it only improves the baseline of our action speed. It brings it from 100 up to 108. But when we self-chill, we're going to be 130% action speed, which means that we pretty much lose all of the upside of this. And in fact, if you put on the boot enchant, boot implicit, you'll see, like, let's say 5% action speed, you'll see you'll only go from 105 to 108. So there's no benefit from self-chill outside of the defensive side. Next, if you are looking for phasing, Love to Rogue pointed out that phase run is really good to have on left click. We generate frenzy charges really fast. That's a really smart thing to do. I actually ran phase run last league for a lot of it, and I used frenzy grand spectrums to keep frenzy charges up, so that to completely mitigate the downside. But yeah, phase run is really great if you're getting stuck on monsters. Definitely do that, or quartz flask is fine, but phase run is really pretty sweet. Next, Assassin's Mark is really amazing for single target, helps boost your crit. And this wheel, Mark the Prey, right here, is just an enormous DPS boost. And several people have pointed out, and they're absolutely correct, it is a very large DPS boost. I am not running it. I tested it. I had it on for a while because I'm mostly doing Expedition right now, and having the curse automated with Profane Proxy is really nice. And so I've just been using that. It's less DPS, but it's automated. I don't have to think about it. It's automatically applied to everything around me, and including the bosses. It's just not quite as high single target. My single target has felt very good. I'll add a video at the end of this to show you what my progression from 88 to 89. I think it's like a T14 or T15 map with a bunch of mods, and it just looks very comfortable to me. So I've left Ellie weakness on, but when I switch to bossing here in the next couple days, I'm going to probably go back to Mark the Prey and use Assassin's Mark. When you're transitioning into crit, there are a few things you can do that provide easy damage, and they're pretty significant. I'll go ahead and point out a few in case you're not aware. The first is make sure you're crit capped, or at least get as much crit as you can. You don't have to be crit capped. I don't think I'm crit capped yet, but I'm doing just feels like fantastic damage for slightly more than 1 div invested. You can do that with a few different things. So first is I'm using a shield, and I'm using shield charge, which by the way feels very nice. I feel very fast for this level of budget. But on my shield I have a increased crit strike chance roll. This shield cost me 1C. It's corrupted, but you know, whatever. It's got +1 levels. It's got some energy shield. It's got crit strike chance. There are a ton of these on trade. I just bought the first one that looked reasonable. The next thing is get the boot enchant. The boot enchant is one of the best in the game for us until you get crit capped other ways. 120% crit strike chance is permanent because you're never critting, your traps are critting. So this 120% is always on. The next thing is get a level 21 explosive trap if you can. They're really cheap. I just bought this like just after finishing this map. So the video you're going to see at the end of this is me with a level 20, not a level 21. Then another thing to do is get a diamond flask. This is actually a really garbage diamond flask, but it had, I wanted to automate it. So I got the charges, or I hand rolled charges, and then I instilling orbed it so that it would run itself. A crit chance suffix is also very big. It doesn't have to be on this flask, but that's another, you know, up to 55, I think, percent or 60% crit chance. That's a lot. And then the last damage boost, this one's not crit related. Well, it sort of is in an indirect way, but get the fizz damage converted to cold craft on your gloves. You need 10% more in order to fully convert, because we have 40% on our tree, and that's it. And 50% of our explosive trap is doing fizz damage. So you want another 10% from somewhere, and this is the easiest way to get it. This benchcraft costs 4 chaos. Yeah, what else? If you're not feeling tanky enough, make sure you're using all 3 defensive auras. I'm using all 3 defensive auras. I'm using Defiance Banner, Grace, and Determination. I feel very comfortable in maps. Like I'm not able to quite like stand still in like 100 mobs, but it's pretty close. Like I said earlier, I have only died once between level 85 and 89, and I sort of was asking for it. If you run all 3 defensive auras, make sure that if you're going into what feels like a rippy fight, you can always drop your banner. This will further reduce damage by 15%. And then again, like I'm not using Heartstopper here, so if I was feeling uncomfortable in maps, I'd probably go back to this. But I feel pretty good, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. The other thing is, and I mentioned this in the other video, go back and check it out if you're not sure, but get a decent amount of evasion and make sure that it is enough that Ghost Dance will proc enough to fill your shield, or almost all the way fill your shield. So when I pop my flask, I have 32,000, and that does not include the additional 100% that comes from Kintsugi, so it's closer to like 40,000, which is a lot of evasion for a character that is level 89 and has absolute trash gear on. Next, the weapon passives are super busted. Holy shit. I'll say that I went looking for a couple with trap throwing speed, and the first one I came across was this. This cost me 1 alchemy, and it has this, which I failed to find when I looked through it earlier, but this is huge. So a base spell critical strike chance is huge. I mean, that's a lot for free basically on your weapon. All I have to do is just level this thing up, and then I plan fully on crafting this to make this my scepter. And then the next one is 60% increased trap throwing speed. Sunblast completely nullifies the downside of this. The reduced trigger area effect doesn't apply to us because Sunblast doesn't have a trigger area of effect. It's just an AoE. You just lay it down. I found this one as well, which also has spell crit strike chance and some strength and int. I mean, I paid 1C for this one. I paid 1 alch for this. These are cheap. I would get them now if you can, before people realize how busted some of these are. And these are T1 bases. You know, this is not, and they're actually really nice eye levels as well. So eye level 74 is perfect for doing the scepter crafts in my other videos. Yeah. Go check out those videos if you're curious about how to craft some endgame scepters, and I'll probably do another one specific to this later. But yeah, weapon passives, pretty nice. One important thing to note, don't get base critical strike chance. Now, if it just says some amount to critical strike chance, that applies to the weapon and is not going to help us. It does not apply to the spell. You traps or spells, you want spell critical strike chance. Yeah, I think that is. Some people have asked about the chill effect. There's one chill effect in the passive skill tree. It does look like it will help you self chill more, like apply a larger chill to yourself. However, I don't believe you can go over 30%. So I'm not sure what the upside would be, because we're already going to want to scale effect of non-damaging elements to inflict max brittle. So you're going to want some of that somewhere on your tree anyway. But yeah, if you happen to get one of these and test it out, let me know. But everything I've read or seen on this indicates that it doesn't allow us to go past the 30% chill effect. I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. Thanks for all the suggestions and the information that everybody has shared. It's been pretty awesome. I've really enjoyed the build, especially once you get past like a certain threshold, things just become just trivial. I'm really looking forward to the next steps. And yeah, I'll leave you with a little bit of mapping so you can see what it looks like to do this league on about, I don't know, maybe a divine worth of gear using a level 20 explosive trap. Anyway, talk to you next time.
Just need a moment.